It's changing so fast that whatever you were worried about not knowing yesterday, you're fucked because tomorrow it'll be a different group of things. That's the rate of change. On the other hand, you know, you can't stand still, and that's what's really so exciting about the opportunity. The old news, it used to be we had to pick. And what's so tremendously encouraging is today we can be cheap, we can be fast, and we can still do good. And so we don't have to evaluate these either-or propositions where you have to do a half-assed job, but you got to do it on time, or you have to do it cheap and not do it well. So what I love is a friend from Whole Foods. This is John's quote, and he says, when you're engaged in trade-offs, what it really means is you haven't thought about it. It's a failure not of the situation, not of resources, but a failure of creativity. And so if you are faced with these things, you should think that somebody has figured it out, and somebody is doing it all across the board, not only better, but faster, and that's the nature of competition today. We talk a lot about virality. I'm very interested in viral stuff. We've got some companies here, Techstars, that are engaged in viral drivers and things. Virality used to mean one thing. It used to mean that basically how many people are told about some new idea, product, or concept, and then how long is that cycle time. And today we have a new thing. I call it sort of C to C to C. Instead of B to C or B to B, what we are really seeing are businesses that are built across the continuum of consumers sharing, consumers collaborating, and consumers consuming in new ways. So the viral curve, though, has changed as well. It used to be that we could sort of count on a real ramp, and then there would come a time when we got sort of tired, but it was at least at a plateau, and it was sort of business as usual, and you know, we call that the safe landing zone. Today, the world has changed in a different sense. The adoption is lightning fast, but if you don't grab somebody on day one, the abandonment curve is probably 10 times faster. And so one day you're hot, the next day you're toast. And you know, there's even now tools, interestingly enough, Mashable just announced a sort of a viral predictive tool that I recommend you take a look at it. It tries to explain and predict what's going to be a viral success out there. But the real bottom line is, as Mark Zuckerberg is fond of saying, nothing is the future forever. Nothing is the future for much of any time at all, and that's just the nature of the game we play. If you talk about Facebook as an example, right now in middle school, it turns out that Tumblr is actually ahead of Facebook. By the time the kids get into high school, they're back on Facebook. But again, it's a constantly changing environment, and that's what's so exciting. Everybody sort of heard about Snapchat. You know, they currently think it's worth about $1 billion. It's not really even chatting. It's these highly disposable photographs. You can actually dial up how fast or how long a period of time it takes for the photos to disappear. But the ramp has been astonishing. So this basically says that about 150 billion photos are being shared a day on Snapchat. And these guys are blowing by the things that we used to think of as world records and astonishingly important things. The other thing that we're seeing is you have to play in the full space. You have to be cross-platform. You have to be version 1 sitting in the iOS world for sure, because that's where, you know, a lot of influencers are. That's where everybody goes. But you better have an Android offering too. The problem with an Android offering is we wish there was a ubiquitous Android solution. The problem is you can get sucked into trying to customize and conform to 10 or 20 different devices and 5 or 6 different versions of Android. So it's going to be tough, but the guys who succeed, like WeChat or WhatsApp, are seeing enormous and quick adoptions. To give you some idea, 27 billion messages passing now on apps. So I'm going to talk about 4 or 5 things. I'm going to talk about the idea that in the competitive world today, it's all about fast followers. You don't have to be first, you just have to be quick. And it's about iterative, getting better a little bit at a time, but getting something out there, listening to the customer, but understanding that at the same time, people are knocking you off. They're doing things fast and quick and easier and more efficiently than you are. So we used to think that brand was a protection that gave us some insulation and sort of vouch for our ability. not so much. Today, speed is the protection, and in fact, if you're not fast, you can just forget about being in any of these, certainly in any of these social spaces. This is the town of Groupon, okay, for better or for worse. And so group manipulated pricing and group activity, very important. But what I would tell you is Groupon is basically gone and the crowd is basically crap, okay? Because we don't really care about the crowd. We don't really care about 10 million people thinking about anything. We care about the people who have influence over us, the people who are highly influential, not the people that are easily influenced. And so the third sort of tier of conversation is about badges and about the fact that we have a whole new world of drivers where we're doing things for no apparent reason, certainly for no real reason, but we're driven by these virtual kind of worlds, leaderboards and achievements and badges and status. And as a result, we have a condition that we're all sort of suffering from, which is manufactured addiction. We're doing these things, we don't even know why. We couldn't explain it if we were asked why or how, but we do it. Another of the things that's so significant about the fact that we're all wired and attached is that today the context in which content is delivered is more important than the content. If you give me the right message at the right time, you're golden. If you give me the right message, but at the wrong time, nobody cares, nobody listens. And so a lot of energy and a lot of time now is being spent around location-based solutions and about the need and the ability to get the message to people at the right time. And GPS, has enabled us to do this in ridiculously effective ways. So proximity and relevance and location, these are all significant drivers. And frankly, we live in a mobile world. You'll see in a minute that tablets and phones have now finally blown by desktops convincingly in terms of the online presence today. It's all about mobile, and it's just going to get more so. And lastly, location and location-based services that communicate to us, that tell us stories. This is where we're headed as well.